Hello, this video is on the farm murders in South Africa, where some 52,000 people in the metropolitan areas of the Cape Coast that have been murdered, and 3,000 Boer families have died since 2001. As you know, I am familiar with the topic of Boer independence, and I've done several vids on that. Now, this is where it comes to right at this present moment. There are 1.9 million South Africans who have left South Africa for Australia, America, Europe. They are serving in the US military, the British military, in finance, in engineering and farming and all sorts of different trades. So the question is, as one people, the Jewish people, found, was that when they left their own area, which in their case was the Middle East, they were seen as an insignificant people. And the Boers are, I'm afraid to say, by the rest of the world outside of Africa, seen as an insignificant people. Now this is unfair, and it is just as unfair for the Boers to be treated this way as it was for the Jews to be treated in the previous centuries. But what the Jews learned to do was to change their diaspora into an opportunity to network with the various groups. And if you think South Africans are more diverse than the Jewish people, then you'd be wrong. Basically, you'd be flat wrong, because of course there's 12 tribes of Israel in biblical teachings. Now, of course, I'm not a Christian. I'm not Jewish. I am not Islamic. I'm not anything like that. I'm agnostic. I know a lot of Boer and Afrikaner people are Christians, and that comes from the deep spirituality that is evident in places like Holland and Germany, in that culture, which is not quite strictly speaking the same kind of Christianity that started in the Middle East. Okay, it's been thoroughly Europeanized and imbued with the ideas of the Enlightenment. Now, there have been other diasporas, and there are many more diasporas than just the Jewish diaspora. Okay, if you look at the Italian American diaspora, there are more. There might in some future years, especially probably by the mid-century, be more Italian Americans than there are Italians. Okay, but there's certainty that although those people are deeply Italian and feel deeply feel deeply that they are American citizens because they believe in the United States, or more narrowly and more correctly, they would believe in the US Constitution, which many Americans don't, but they still say, "Oh, I believe in the Constitution." Now, the point of having a diaspora is first practical reasons. The same way that immigrant groups in other parts of the world, say like the Indians, Nigerians, Pakistanis, those families group together and bring together funds. Okay, and if Boer families can work together and say have one member of the family, the head of the family, or the most respected member of the family, most trustworthy member of the family, to hold, say, a trust fund, and everyone who does business with them pays in and gets loans out of that trust fund. And so as long as they pay it back, and then they will always be involved in the business of the family. And in such ways, large amounts of money for capital, such as machinery, the starting up of firms can be raised in the long term, but in the short term, we can help the millions of Afrikaners who cannot leave South Africa because they're being denied passports by the ANC for one reason. So we need this YouTube campaign is merely a start of something that, if it can grow and grow and grow, become a media campaign to get awareness and get pressure from the European Union particularly, and also the United States, and maybe even diplomatic help from the Israelis because of historical reasons, to help the Boers and the Afrikaners either leave or get their own state, or at least protect them, the people who want to stay in as part of South Africa, to protect them and make sure that their rights are protected. And if we can protect the Afrikaners' rights, then we can also protect the Bantu who are not ANC members, who are not being listened to either. There's lots of farm workers who are Bantu, that is the black Africans, who know what they're doing with farms, but because their employer, the Boer farmer, has his land taken away, they of course don't have a job, and it's given to ANC lackeys, basically, people who know other people in the ANC and their families. It's feudalism, primitive feudalism, and that's what's destroying South Africa. Now, if you're South African, you're an Afrikaner or a Boer, be as everybody needs to be as diverse as possible, but having good business acumen, having good backgrounds in the military, in engineering, in the media. Okay, a good way to get the media on side if there was a Boer independence movement and also a Boer independent republic would obviously be to not tax media outlets, to allow them to gravitate towards a Boer republic in a similar way that Iceland is doing, so that Switzerland is a hub for banking, Iceland or a future Boer republic could be a hub for media, and so the whole of Africa would and Australasia and the southern regions of the world would be getting far more media attention. It's only in the European news and sometimes on the BBC that people are hearing about these farm murders, and they're not really hearing the scale of it. It's painted as a single horrific thing that's happening, but obviously there is some element of planning in this, or some cultural awareness among the people, the murder gangs who are doing it, because they're killing whole families, and sometimes they only take just one mobile phone. Okay, and I thank the people from another video who mentioned that, and that information is not first hand, but it's come to my attention. Right now, communication on this subject. If we are communicating a extreme right or left view, that merely shows that in some regard we were obsessed with this topic, and that we maybe not have an open mind enough. This is not a left right topic. Okay, this is not a topic for the AWB or the Communist Party or whatever. Okay, this is a subject about human beings whose families are being murdered, and there's no way that, having gone through the Holocaust and then even greater genocides like what happened in the Soviet Union, where maybe 60 million people were killed, or Mao Zedong with 70 million people, or all the massive wars that have happened over South Africa and Central Africa, where millions and millions of people have died during the Cold War, that we can say that collective punishment is a rational or moral thing to be happening in the 21st century. Okay, check out my other vids on Boer independence and keep posting them. to other people.